Hey, what's up YouTube? This is What's in My Gray Garage, and today we're working on the Generac generator. That's right, we are going to be changing the oil in this thing and getting it all squared away for the upcoming winter and just getting general maintenance done on it. If anybody has these, a lot of times people have contracts to do the maintenance. They charge quite a bit of money for that. And I'm going to just show you how to change the oil and check the air filter and stuff like that. First things you need to do is turn your power off to it. So what you want to do is you come up here to this panel, and there's an auto, a manual, and an off. You want to make sure your off is pushed, and then they'll have a light to indicate that your power is off to the machine. You don't want your machine going through, like, say, a startup cycle or a run check when you're changing the oil. That could be a really bad day. So anyways, what I did is I went online to Amazon and I ordered the filter. There's the filter number right there. This is for a what size generator? I think this is a 22 size 22. Yeah, 22 kW generator. This is the Guardian version, and that's the oil filter. I think the oil filter fits a few others, but I'm not 100% sure. Most times these machines are pretty, the engines are the same. It's just they change the motor that drives you and gives you your electric power. That's the only big difference. I will advise, when you open up your top of your motor, your top of your generator, and you take the covers off, be aware that you may have bees. I would have a can of spray with you. I checked this earlier, so I knew there wasn't any in here, but sometimes hornets and wasps and mud daubers will find a home in these things. So before you go ripping off the cover and going crazy with it, make sure that you know what you got going on, so that way you don't get stung and all that. But to get this going, we're going to loosen the oil fill just a little, let the air go in. I'm going to wipe all that down. It's kind of dirty. And then what we're going to do is come over here to this. Got cobwebs all over the place in here, which isn't good either. But you come over here to this tube, which is held in by, it's got like some sort of geez, I'm not getting you on camera. Has just like a zip tie holding it up here. I'm trying not to break the zip tie if I can do it without pulling the top off just yet. Let me set you guys up. Hope everybody's doing good out in YouTube land. I know I haven't posted too many videos lately. I just haven't had my act together. I don't know what it is. Just kind of aggravating, actually. So what you want to do is you take your drain tube, get it loose from your fastening area, and you just undo the plug here and let the oil drain out. Now this oil here coming out is probably as clear as you could get. I mean, it's clean. However, out of, like most things, just because it's clean doesn't mean it doesn't need to be changed. And I'm not one of those guys that just changes oil, for no apparent reason. You can see the oil there, it's clean. But I've lived here in this house for probably 3 years now, and I haven't changed this oil. I've checked it. I check it all the time. I check it probably once a month just to make sure it's good. But that doesn't exactly do you any good. It's good to check it, but the big thing is you really need to have the oil changed so you can, because oil does degrade over time. I mean, not so much as it used to. I mean, back in the day, they had on the old oil, when it was like more of a non-detergent base, you were changing that stuff every for a car, it was every 3,000 miles or 3 months, just to keep the engine clean. But And I know, of course, now with synthetics and everything, it's better. But I figure 3 years is a good time. And actually, this thing never, as far as I know, has never really run. And the other night, I got up, well, other morning, I got up real early, and there was a power outage in our area, which is very rare. And this thing kicked on and ran like a champ. So it did exactly as it was supposed to. So I'm pretty happy with that. This machine here, it claims it holds 2 quarts of oil. So once the oil gets drained here, the only bad thing about these hoses when you're doing them, they have a tendency to flex a little bit back to where, you know, to an angle where the oil's not coming out, and it's kind of aggravating. And it's slow. It's a slow process. Of course, I could have started it and ran it, warmed it up, and then drained the oil, but I didn't really think of that, actually. I was just trying to get out here and get this done. But at least the oil filter is easily accessible. It's right there in the front. They do have some wires. There's looks like a temperature sensor and some other sensors. Just be aware of those wires. You don't want to damage those wires, because 1, you'll have to repair them, and 2, if you don't see that you damaged them, and then when this thing does kick on when you do need it, it may not work properly, or it may overheat or something like that. So just be aware that there are 2 sensors there when you pull this filter off, and you know, you just have to be careful. So, and then while we're waiting on that, I got my foot, of course, holding up the oil pan, because I got this thing mounted. Well, I didn't mount this. The guy that lived here before me built this thing, and then it's got a fairly decent slope, which isn't really good for, 1, the concrete pad this thing's sitting on is kind of, the dirt's eroding around it. And it also makes it a pain in the ass to cut the grass, and it makes a pain in the ass to cut do the oil change. But anyways, let's check the air filter real quick, make sure nothing's gotten crazy in there. Air filter's got, should just be the one. Okay, the air filter, let me just set you guys up. Man, I'm having all kinds of trouble this morning. Jeez. Wrecking the place. Sorry about that. Okay, that's where the air filter sits. There's one clip, and you, I think it snaps in there. Oh, you push it back a little bit. There's your air filter. It's just it's like a little auto air filter. This one's brand new. I'm not going to change it. I didn't think I'd have any problems with it. But so then what you do is when you put it back on, you push it on, or slide it down over top of it and kind of slide it and lock it. There's 2 little like teeth, or not teeth, but 2 little tabs that slide in there into the housing. Slide it to the left, and then reinstall your clip here. Then you're good to go. But yeah, these are great things, these generators. If you live in an area prone to bad weather and hurricanes or anything like that, I'd highly think about it to get one of these, because it's a good thing to have. It really is. Mine runs on propane, which I think most of them do. They're propane driven. I don't know if they make gas driven ones or not. I should look that up before I go talking about it, I guess. But I've got a big size propane tank sitting over there, and it's piped right in. Like I said the other night, I lost power. I lost power for probably 2 or 3 hours, and this thing fired right up, and I had power at the house. I mean, it's good power too. It's fairly clean. The lights aren't flickering on and off and all that kind of nonsense. But I think the biggest thing with these is people forget about them and they don't do any maintenance to them, or, you know, like they say, you know, they have maintenance programs, but they're very expensive. So unless if you can't do it yourself, you know, it's going to cost you a little bit. So, and that's just, it kind of stinks because it's, you know, it's one more thing that you got to pay for. The battery in it, it's like a standard car battery. I got a Die-Hard in this one. I forget the cold cranking amps on it. I can't really get to it, but the you know, the battery does get like a trickle charge off the house power until it's needed, and then when the power goes out, the battery kicks the sensor kicks on and then draws the power from the battery to start the engine, and everything's good to go. So, but they're fairly self-explanatory, really. I mean, as far as oil change, you got your oil fill right here. This one's a little dirty just from sitting in dust from cutting grass around it and stuff. You've got your dipstick, you got your oil filter. You got your oil fill, your oil dipstick, you got your oil filter, and then your oil drain, and they're all right here in the front of the motor. So then you've got your spark plug right here. Ooh, where am I at? Your spark plug right here, and then I think that's it. I think it's just a one spark plug type deal on this thing. So yeah, I think it's just a 1-cylinder, but good setup that runs good. So it looks like I've got most of the oil drained out of here. Well, maybe a little more. Try not to make a 20-minute video on changing the oil out of this thing, but what we'll do is, while this is still dripping oil out of it, because I want to get as much of it out as I can. You know, if you're going to change it, you might as well do it, you know, get it done right. But we're going to pop this filter off here, if I can get you all set up where you can see it. Sorry for the elongated video. I wasn't trying to make this way, but I've never changed the oil in this, and I figured, you know, it'd be a good thing to do. So the only tools you really need are I might not even need it, is an oil filter wrench, some rags, a funnel, and a catch basin. So I'm putting a couple rags under here just to catch the oil. I'm going to spin the next one on really quick. And if you have a warranty on these machines, try to use your standard oil filter, or their oil filter, their type, because if there's ever a warranty issue, you know, you'd hate for them to hold you up on a warranty issue for something, and just because of an oil filter. I got my inspector, my kitty here, coming here. Get out of here. So the oil filter, same one, genuine part. Yeah, it's on there pretty tight. Feels like somebody put this thing on without any. Yeah, they didn't put a lick of oil on that filter. When you get your oil filter, they eat in India. When you get your oil filter, always put a little bit of oil on your gasket. Helps prevent the gas or the oil filter from being stuck on the machine. And spin it on, and give it tighten it down and go a quarter turn or so. You don't have to go too crazy, but you need to make sure it's on there tight. And I'm just draining the excess oil out of the filter, and what I do is I always put my old filter back in the box, so I got it somewhere it's kind of like making it sit upright, and doesn't makes it a little bit less likely it's going to spill all over the place. Oil's nice and clean, as I expect it to, because like I said, I think I've only run this, I think the generator's just run on temporary, when it does its warm-ups and basic weekly checks. It fires up for like 5 minutes and then shuts itself back down. Yeah, so the oil filter's on. This thing is still draining, unfortunately. It's taking forever. I'm going to clean up the oil mess I just made in here. Always try to get as much of your oil that if you spill any, get it all up out of there, because this is a generator. This is producing electricity. You don't want any petroleum products laying around in the bottom of this thing. you know, where you could say if you had a spark or something grounded or something, you don't want to give it any cause or reason to catch on fire. I mean, these things are a lot of money. So just wipe any excess oil down, which you always get a little bit when you're changing oil. You're always going to make a little bit of a mess. So I mean, best laid plans you try not to, but gravy, this is taking forever. So how's everybody out there in YouTube land? It's almost the middle of October. I'm sorry, Jesus, middle of September, and man, fall time's coming. It's here in Southern Virginia. It's a little bit of a misty day out so far. It's Saturday morning, and it's supposed to be sunny out, but maybe that'll show up later today. But yeah, this is just crazy long. All right, so I think we'll just stop right there with the oil. It's not really coming out too much anymore. We'll put the cap on there. Make sure the cap's on there fairly snug. You don't want to go too crazy with it. Don't. These are plastic now, and they're gonna, if you have an older machine, they're gonna degrade a little bit. So what I'm saying, meaning degrading, it's going to get old and possibly get brittle. So because it is plastic. Don't go cranking on these things, or otherwise if they break off, then you're going to be in a, then you're going to have to figure something out. So all right, so what we're going to do, take you back up here again and try to get you an angle where you can see the top of this thing. All right, and the fill, and what's nice is they mark everything for the oil is everything's marked with orange. The dipstick, the oil fill, all that good stuff. So you take your funnel, make sure your end of the funnel's clean. And usually what I do is I take, you take your funnel, I take some brake clean and I spray it down on the inside, and then whip the filter, or whip the funnel back and forth a little bit to make sure make sure there's no residue from any of the last project, or, you know, make sure that you're good to go. Now I'm putting 10W30 in here because of my climate where I live. Sometimes I think they recommend 5W30 or 30 weight oil, depending upon where you're going to be. Here in Virginia, it does get cold, but I think I can survive with, it doesn't get so cold where you need really the thicker oil, or you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm putting in actually like a Valvoline high mileage. I'll be honest, it was probably the cheaper of the oils. It was, like I said, 10W30 was what I was looking for, and it was cheap. So it was actually cheaper to get it on Amazon than it was to pick it up at a local parts store. I tell you what, parts stores are crazy nowadays. They want so much money for oil. I mean, to do an oil change is ridiculous. Yeah, put 1 quart in there, and I'm barely, let's just clean this stick off and try again. The dipstick's a little, I won't say it's flimsy, but it's a little light. So just be advised of that. That 1 quart seems to fill it right up. Let's see, but I'm gonna have to fill the oil filter too, so it's gonna take a little bit more. So put a 1/2 quart of the, I may still have a little bit of residue in there from changing it, from dropping the oil out of it. Now, like they say, you don't want to overfill, never overfill any kind of motor or engine with oil or any kind of fluids. So always try to stay right where the recommendation is, right on the top of the line. I know some people that are like, oh, it's within the good, you know, it's within the window of the full and the empty, you know, it's okay. You know, it's hard to remember if that's actually where you left it or not. So, you know, to me, I always put it right at the top of the full line. That way you always know for a fact it's, you know, when you go to look at it, you're like, yeah, that's where I left it. And If it's below that, then you know you've got a problem. So that's just my way of doing it. There's a million other ways to do it. I mean, hell, some people don't even check their oil. You know, they just get in and drive. All right, I'm about half. I'm a little over the line. So I probably had a little bit, probably about 1/4 quart left in there. Plus I just added some. So what I'm going to do now is put the cap back on, the oil fill cap. Kind of clean off this filter a little bit. Not filter, Jesus. Clean up this funnel. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing fired up. All right, to fire it up, we're going to come over here and put auto, ready to run. I'm gonna you all saw that. I basically came over here, put it to auto, and then I put it on manual to turn it on. I ran it for, you know, for 20 seconds or so, just to get the oil to circulate. We'll check the oil again. You wipe off your, you know, when you pull your dipstick out, wipe off your dipstick to clean off the oil, then reinsert and try again, because that oil's splashing around in there. You may get a false reading otherwise, you know, if you just pull it out and check it. So when we are, hard to see, but we're right there. We're right a little, we're just a hair above the actual full line. I think that's perfect. Boy, that oil's clean. So, but there you go. That's your basic basic information on how to change oil in a Generac generator. Yeah, this is a 22 kW. Pretty simple. You got your oil fill, oil filter, your drain plug, and your dipstick, and that's really it. And the only tools I used was I had a pan, funnel, and a pair of oil filter pliers just to pop that filter off, and 3 or 4 rags. So anyways, sorry for the long video. Wasn't trying to make this a marathon type, and I'm sure a lot of you have already exited out and gone other places. I probably would have too, but stick around. We're gonna have some more fun on this channel, and we're gonna do more things. And if you liked the video, I would appreciate it if you like, share, subscribe, and I hope we'll see you soon. Thanks.